and ceilings, and familiar light begins to fade, replaced by creaking branches, damp earth, and shadows that stretch in long, distorted shapes. These are not only stories meant to frighten you, because hidden beneath the terror, beneath the unknown eyes and silent footsteps, is a truth stronger than any shadow. The human spirit refuses to disappear. There was no clear moment, no dramatic shift, just a growing awareness that something wasn't right. The air turned colder. That was when she felt it. The quiet voice, not loud, not panicked, not dramatic, just a gentle warning settling into her chest like a heavy stone. Turn around. Now. She stopped walking. She looked around at the trees, at the path that looked completely normal. She checked her phone. Her GPS was still tracking her route. Everything said she was safe. Everything except that unseen voice. She almost laughed at herself. Almost called herself foolish for being scared of nothing. So she walked on. Then she saw the footprints. They were not deep, not dramatic. Just slight depressions in the damp ground beside the trail. Barefoot. Far too large to belong to a child. Far too narrow and long to be an animal. And worse than that, they were moving in the same direction as her. Matching her pace, appearing, step after step, just inches off the path. Her heart slipped into a faster rhythm, a frantic drumbeat inside her body. She tried to tell herself someone must be nearby, another hiker. Someone who had simply taken off their shoes, but the longer she looked, the more the forest seemed to fold around her, closing in like a wall of tangled arms. Turn around. Now. This time she listened. She didn't run. Running makes noise. Running makes you obvious. Running makes you fall. Instead, she turned slowly, her body stiff, every nerve alive, and began walking back in the direction she'd come. The footprints changed. They curved. They began to circle the path. Branches snapped in the distance, sharp and sudden, like knuckles cracking in the dark. Her palms grew wet. Her breathing trembled. She forced herself to keep her steps even, steady, counting them in her mind as if counting was the only thing keeping her grounded in reality. 1, 2, 3. Don't look back. 4, 5, 6. The world behind her felt thick, heavy, charged with a presence that did not belong in any normal place. When the trail finally broke open into the clearing near the parking area, sunlight spilled over her like a blessing. Warmth returned to her skin. Sound returned to the air, and that was when she saw it, just beyond the line of trees, standing impossibly still in the deepest shadow. A tall, thin figure, too dark to see clearly, without features, without shape, but it was there, and it was looking at her. The moment she stepped farther into the open, it melted back into the forest, swallowed by the same darkness it seemed to be made from. Later, when rangers searched the area, They found strange things tucked away far from the marked trail. A small hidden camp. Symbols carved deep into tree bark. Old animal bones, arranged in eerie patterns. No living person was ever found. No explanation was given. But Emily never doubted what saved her that day. It was not logic. It was not technology. It was that quiet, ancient voice within her. The one that recognized danger long before her eyes could see it. And from that moment on, she trusted it. In the forest, in life, in love, in every moment when the world felt wrong, even when it looked perfectly normal on the surface. There was another boy, young and restless, named Lucas, who believed that being brave meant never showing fear. He had gone hiking with friends, joking, laughing, straying just a little farther from the trail to take pictures, to explore, to feel adventurous. When he thought he spotted another hiker in the distance, he followed that figure without hesitation, ducking through branches, stepping over roots, moving deeper and deeper into unfamiliar land. The figure kept appearing, then disappearing, always just out of reach, always just far enough to feel like a challenge, until suddenly Lucas looked around and realized he was completely alone. No friends, no clear path, no signs, only endless trees and the dimming sky. Panic hit him like ice water. His breathing grew sharp and shallow. He started running in random directions, branches scraping at his arms, tripping over roots, stumbling into thorny bushes that tore at his skin. The forest twisted and repeated itself, every tree looking like the last, the same shadows, the same narrow spaces. Darkness crept in slowly, and with it came strange noises, rustling, distant cracking sounds, whispers carried by the breeze. His legs ached, his throat burned, his thoughts became tangled and wild. He was about to give up. Then, through the chaos inside his mind, he heard his father's voice from an old memory, calm and steady. If you're lost, sit down. Breathe. Think. Panic will kill you faster than anything else. So he dropped to the ground, pressing his back against a rough, steady tree trunk. He closed his eyes and forced air into his lungs. Slow and deep, again and again. The more he calmed his breath, the clearer his mind became, as if the darkness inside him was thinning, and in the silence, beneath his steady heartbeats, another sound emerged. Water. A faint rushing, like a whisper sliding along the earth. A creek. He remembered reading that following running water often leads to people, to roads, to life. He stood up slowly, focused on that sound instead of the darkness, and began walking toward it. He followed the creek for what felt like forever, until he finally saw light flickering ahead. A small ranger outpost. Safety. His terror had not vanished, but it had transformed into something else. Something almost holy. Gratitude. Awareness. Respect for the power of a calm mind in a storm of fear. There were two experienced hikers as well. Strong, confident, almost arrogant in their certainty. They had seen countless trails, climbed countless mountains, walked in conditions others would not dare to enter. When they heard news of a storm approaching, they laughed it away, telling each other they had survived worse, telling themselves they were too skilled to be harmed by something as simple as rain and wind. But nature does not care about your experience. It does not recognize your pride. The sky darkened quickly, as though night had been dragged across the land. Thunder rolled with a voice that felt like it was cracking the world in half. Rain poured down in heavy, stinging sheets, blinding them, soaking them to the bone within minutes. The ground turned to slippery mud beneath their feet. A massive tree, uprooted by wind, crashed to the earth. Just steps behind where they had been walking moments earlier. Shaking, soaked, humbled, they found shelter beneath a rocky overhang and pressed themselves against the cold stone, listening to the storm rage around them like a furious beast. All through the night they held on, hands numb, teeth chattering, hearts silent in respect. When they were finally rescued in the gray light of dawn, their voices were different, smaller, quieter, They said the same words again and again. The mountain doesn't care who you are, and in that truth, there was a powerful lesson. Respect is not weakness, it is wisdom. Nature does not attack out of cruelty. It simply exists, and to survive beside it, you must honor it, not challenge it with ego. A man once wandered off the main path, convinced he could save time by taking a shortcut through thicker woods. Each step away from the trail felt like a small mistake growing heavier. Branches tangled around his arms. Birds screeched loudly overhead. Fear crept into him slowly, dripping like cold rain down his spine. But then, through the chaos of tangled vines and low-hanging shadows, he noticed something carved into a large stone. An old, weathered symbol, nearly erased by time. An arrow, pointing back in the direction he had come from. Beneath it, faint words left behind by a hiker long gone, wrong way. Turn back now, those words, carved by a stranger, saved him. His wrong turn had led him to the very sign that guided him home. And as he returned to the path, he realized that sometimes, even our mistakes carry hidden guidance. Sometimes the path you regret becomes the path that teaches you the most. There was a woman trapped overnight on a narrow cliffside trail as the world below her vanished into darkness. No signal. No sound of other people. Just the wind howling, slipping through cracks in the rocks like a mournful voice. Her legs cramped. Her arms trembled from holding herself steady. Fear wrapped around her like vines, whispering that she would not make it. But she refused to let the silence swallow her mind. She spoke out loud into the darkness, reminding herself of her name, her family, her dreams. She sang broken songs through chattering teeth. She prayed again and again, her words dissolving into the night air. She did not sleep. She did not surrender. And when sunrise bled across the horizon, painting the world in soft gold, rescuers found her still alive, clinging to the rock, eyes red but shining with fierce life. Her fear had not destroyed her. It had fueled her to endure. Another lost hiker walked 4 hours through dense woods and swore he could hear footsteps beside him, matching his pace perfectly. Every time he stopped, the steps stopped. Every time he moved, they moved. He felt watched, followed, accompanied by something unseen. He expected at any moment to feel a hand on his shoulder, but when he finally stumbled back onto a known path and later reviewed trail camera footage, there was no one there. He had been alone the entire time. Or perhaps, not entirely alone. Some say he was guided by a guardian presence, an angel, the spirit of the forest, or simply his own will to live walking beside him in another form. Whatever it was, it did not harm him. It protected him. Two people can step into the same darkness. One collapses into fear. The other rises in resistance. The difference is not strength or speed or skill. It is belief. Belief that there is still a way out. Belief that the night does not last forever. Belief that even in the cold, even in the silence, even in the presence of things that cannot be named, the story is not over yet. Survival begins in the mind long before it shows itself in action. It begins with the decision to keep going when everything in you wants to stop. Those who have been lost often say the same haunting thing. The moment when hope almost vanished was the exact moment rescue came. The second they believed it was over was the second destiny quietly shifted and opened a door. Light does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly, shyly, just a small change in the darkness. A different kind of silence, a breeze that feels warmer, a narrow strip of sky between the trees. But it is always there, even when your eyes can't see it yet. And if you are listening to this now, somewhere safe, somewhere warm, remember that these stories are not here just to scare you. They are here to remind you that inside of you lives the same strength that carried these hikers home. No matter what dark forest you may walk through in your life, whether it is made of trees or fears or memories or pain, there is a quiet voice guiding you. There is a calm in you that can silence panic. There is a respect within you that can humble the world. There is a resilience inside your bones that refuses to give in. If you ever feel lost, may you trust the whisper in your heart. If you ever feel afraid, may you turn that fear into fuel. If you ever feel alone, May you remember that unseen hands walk with you. And just as these 3 true scary hiking horror stories ended not in death, but in survival, in wisdom, in rebirth, may your own story always find its way back to the light. And may God's unseen protection cover every step you take, every dark path you face, every silent forest you must walk through, guiding you home with mercy, strength, and endless hope. Amen.